Hi, this is not a podcast show where I, Dev, invite people who make stuff that I like. In episode number 3, I speak with RevGT, Mr. Flow State himself. He always appears to be everywhere at once, physically, in-game, or with his commentary. A perfect recipe for Super Autopets content if you ask me. Rev somehow combines being a family man, working, traveling, basketball, arena, team tour, ranked, YouTube, Twitch. He must be the busiest creator in the scene. So I'm grateful he found an hour to sit down and share his thoughts on all this stuff and more. Today's sponsor, still me. This episode is still free. To like, subscribe and share. And show some love for today's guest in the comments, everyone. In any case, here's RevGT.
It's an honor.
Yeah, well, likewise. So first question is, can you explain the definitive explanation for your username?
That's such a good opening question. Okay, when I was in year 11, which is the second last year of high school in Australia, I was in a psychology class and we were studying cults. And some of the famous cults over the years, like the Manson family and the one that drank all the Kool-Aid and killed themselves. The Jones family, I think. Anyway, my friend and I decided that we would start a cult, naturally. And we needed really strong names to be cult leaders, and I settled on Reverend Good Times, which I thought was very strong, and then that became like my online handle, not related to the cult, and then that was shortened to RevGT, because I thought it sounded cleaner when I was starting a YouTube channel.
I think it does as well, and then you can fill it out with other explanations as well. But the full Reverend name might be a bit much.
It's a bit much. Wait, can I ask you in return? I know you're interviewing me, but
no worries.
What is not a game devlog? And also, do I call you? Second question: do I call you? I was thinking Dev, because then we can be Rev and Dev.
Already cool. Well. Yeah, so I don't mind. It's cool. We could do it also another podcast with more of my time. But I think a short answer is, for a long time I've done many projects and things, and often I start a full new name for everything. And it started unconsciously, and now I became conscious of it, like a new persona or whatever. So I think a good detective could figure out all my projects, and I don't do my full best to do this all fully separate, and you can see it now leak out in Discord names and other projects. But it was my goal with the channel. So there it started. I thought it would be fun to try out YouTube basically, and I thought, well, I wanted to learn or experience what would happen if I upload something, and then I thought, well, I was already making some game experiments, and I could also do Super Autopets. So I thought, I didn't know ahead of time. So I thought, well, just let's say what it's not, because, well, this is not a very nice way to put it. But I follow a lot of game dev vlogs, but I don't really like the game dev vlogs. I do like game devs, but I don't like the game dev vlog. So I thought, well, that's one thing that is not gonna be. And this is, of course, a weird part, because when people listen to this, they know the answer, but I'm still considering whether this is going to be on a second channel, and I already reserved the name Not a Podcast Show. So then I can go to the full Not a branding.
Yeah, I like it. And now you're Dev, or maybe you're Pod, depending on the channel.
Yeah. Dev, Pod, yeah. So a man of many names. So do you remember, and can you tell me a bit about when you found out about Super Autopets, and what was your first thoughts of the game?
So I think I've mentioned this scattered through my YouTube history, but I don't know if I've ever told the story in full. So it was the end of 2021. My wife and I were getting married, and there was this thing called COVID-19. Not sure if you've heard of it. Which was making our marriage very difficult, because Australia went full like North Korea lockdown mode, and it was so difficult for her to get to Australia, or even for me to leave. So the plan was originally much earlier, but then eventually, end of December 2021, we had it locked in. We had the date. We'd paid all the money, and I needed to do hotel quarantine in Indonesia when I landed, which was 3 days. And we thought, that's all right, we can do 3 days. And then right as the plane was going to leave, a week before my flight, suddenly it was 5 days and then 7 days because there was a new strain or something. By the time I landed in Jakarta, I had to do 10 days of hotel quarantine. And it's just me in a room with a laptop. And my friend, Brody, shout out Brody, he's like, you should try this game, Super Auto Pets. Now, I've never played like strategy games before, ever. Like the smallest amount of chess. I always was a sports game kind of guy. And so I was like, sure, I've got 10 days. I'll try it. And I was so bad. The first turn I ever played of Super Auto Pets, I just looked at the board and was like, I don't know. And I pressed end turn.
Yeah, that is by definition, I think, the worst first turn that you can do.
Yep. And then I was like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. And he then told me I should watch Northern Lion, which I did. And then I started to actually understand the game. And I remember I was very quick, which is hilarious to look back on. I was very quick to understand that level 3 something plus bison equals good team. So in that hotel room, I was just smashing bison, as I think many of us did. And then I found out about the camel and the kangaroo. And now I had a synergy, and then the rest is history.
Cool. So this Northern Lion is like a common thread in everybody's Super Auto Pets history, I think. But
it's
you did not watch it yourself before. You heard first about Super Auto Pets, and then basically Super Auto Pets introduced you to Northern Lion, which I think is a nice direction.
Yeah, because that type of YouTube video just wasn't in my like feed. I never would have been fed a Northern Lion video. And then thanks to Brody, man, like it's so funny that one moment just like changed my life.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. And do you also remember what made you make the step to uploading content? Because I of course did a quick peek at your channel. I don't know what you deleted, but it starts with a lot of chess content as well.
Yeah, I was playing the game a lot, and at that time, I was only watching Northern Lion. And of course, for those who were watching Northern Lion at that time, part of the appeal of watching him was that he would just make, in addition to him being funny, he would make so many misplays that it was like rage-inducing. And so I'd be sitting there like angry on my couch, like, why did you do that? And then my friend who was living with me at the time was like, dude, start a YouTube channel. And I thought I was so much better at the game than I was. So I didn't have that fear of like, oh, I'm actually not that good. Because it was just me and Northern Lion. That was my whole SAP universe. So I thought I was brilliant, a mastermind. And then based on that and his recommendation, I started the channel and just instantly loved it.
Cool, yeah. And so you did not, you were not part of the, like this, I talked with Flame and Grounded about their background, which started at a similar time as you, but they somehow found a small Discord community, and you just
from that YouTuber. I forget his name. Starts with Newtek. Yeah.
I hadn't heard of him because I somehow joined the whole fun a bit later, so I missed out on all this first wave. But he's a common thread as well.
I think so. I think SAG, Super Auto Gaming, as well, started in that. So
and Kino, I think.
And Kino. So I missed Kino. I missed Newtek. I didn't even have Discord at the time. And then I started uploading videos. And when I was probably at like, I don't know, 80 subscribers, Grounded Sap commented on a video of mine. And you know, like, as you would know when you have a YouTube channel, if someone with more than 1,000 subscribers comments on your video, it gives like a special notification. I was like, what is this? And I had seen Grounded, but never had watched his videos. So then he commented. That led to me watching him. And then that's what opened up the pathway into Discord and the slow realization that I was much worse at the game than I initially thought.
Yeah, so the good part was finding that there's a big community out there and with a lot of fun. for years, which you didn't know at that time, but now know that it would be fun for years, which is crazy. But the bad thing, or also
Yeah.
good thing, was that you found out that there was way more strategy than you thought, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I wonder if Grounded didn't leave that comment, then where would my channel have gone? I might have just like eventually faded out, or I don't know. I don't know, but that was that comment, and that's why when I say like creators who are just starting now, I'm very conscious of the fact that like one comment can be the fuel they need to keep going. So I'm
Yeah.
very I'm trying to continue what Grounded started, basically.
Yeah. I think that's very cool, and I have the same. I think everybody that tries something, yeah, well, of course they have to be realistic about what the journey is, but it also helps to support anybody who just tries anything, because only until you do that, instead of just watching, you know how difficult it is and how much effort it takes. So everybody who just tries should be supported, I think, as well.
100%. Yep.
So you didn't watch. You only watched Northern Lion, or you slowly got recommended more Super Auto Pets content at that time.
Yeah, so it was only Northern Lion. I never watched Ludwig, or I think there was some other. Was there a guy called like something Engineer? I know there were some big YouTubers at that time, but for me it was only Northern Lion. And then Grounded, once he commented, it started watching him. And then of course, I think, which is like the staple experience of anyone who's been in the SAP space for a while, then it was Scooty with the A to Z
challenge,
series, which was just a classic. And like I think looking back on that era, like that was necessary for me to stay locked into the game, because I was like exclusively a weekly pack player for a long time, which is so funny to think back on now, because now I haven't played a weekly in 6 months. But if I didn't find these YouTube channels, I think my interest would have faded. But then, yeah, it was Scooty and Grounded, and then Northern Lion, and then that led to Super Auto Gaming and Flame 96 and Haps, of course. So yeah, all these people that they were doing what I was doing, and they were much better at the game. I started realizing, but then it also invigorated me, because I realized that the content I was making was different to these other people. So I was both learning from them, but also I then felt like confident when I went to record, because I was like, my content might not be for everyone, but I know that I'm doing something different over here on RevGT. And that was like that's really what pushed me to be like, all right, consistent uploads. Let's put effort into, dude, my early thumbnails was so bad and I had no idea what I was doing. And like that pushed me to actually think like, how can I improve my product a little bit?
Yeah, cool. And by your content being different, do you mean the fact that you are way more yeah, I don't know what a good way to say it, but way more personal, and it's more, it's you and Super Auto Pets than just talking about Super Auto Pets, basically. Was it already like that from the beginning? Is that just part of your style?
Yeah, I think it's that. And I think I was doing like weird customs builds at a time where like no one was playing customs, or very few people were. So like the Super Auto Pets part was different, and then I just eventually gained confidence into be like, I'm not going to script or plan a single thing here. I'm just going to press record, and I don't care if I'm sleep deprived or I'm over caffeinated. Like, we're just going to go on a journey, and people seem to respond to it. And then like I found my niche, and that was like the cool point. I'm guessing that was probably like, I'm going to say early to mid 2023, where I felt like I'd found what I wanted to watch on YouTube and what I wanted to create for YouTube. And that was like the point where it was like, all right, we're doing this. We're all in.
Yeah. Well, that is still quite a long journey from end 2021 to there, but also a lot of fun, I think, to discover that. And then now, basically, yeah, well, I think you did daily uploads after that for a long time as well, right?
Long time.
Then you have this highlight of just going all in basically into this flow. Well, that's always a key word of people describing you, I think. But that's also a kind of flow where you're just in the flow of making daily content. Did you record every day, or did you also sometimes just record multiple things and
No,
post later?
no. So I was working 6 days a week, and also gym, basketball twice a week, wife going back and forth between countries. So I would just find a window to record and just smash. Just like, oh, I have 5 hours, bang, 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 bang.
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah,
like that.
yeah. And then you're
Yeah.
safe for a week or two or whatever. And then if you find new time, okay, yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it as well. I think I found about your channel a bit later because I was also maybe starting with watching Northern Lion, Ludwig, and then Scooty, and then it took for me
Yeah.
quite a while until I got into like Scooty kind of was like that, at least, like the real super autopet specialists, or that instead of the variety content creators or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
And then I found, I think, Haps and Grounded, and then I found you basically. So it took a little while, and maybe you can see this stream of people entering your community as well. That it took a little while, but that was always what stood out. Basically, the fact that you somehow have this mysterious life where you hint at a lot, or just speak very clearly about a lot, and then somehow find the time within all this chaos to make these recordings, which is
Yeah.
such a nice style.
Yeah. And I should say there, I alluded to it, but I got to give a huge shout out to both Grounded and Sag. Grounded for initially like believing in me and engaging with me when I was just starting, and also Super Auto Gaming reacted to one of my videos quite early on, and that like 500 times my subscriber count just in that one moment. So I was definitely like, my channel was built on the hard work of other SAP YouTubers, and then like, you know, you found me through Grounded or Sag or whatever. That's like a very common. There aren't many early RevGT adopters. I was fed through a channel of the big dogs, and then I was like there. Oh hey, if you want something extra, there's this weird Australian guy who is like screaming and just talking about weird stuff. If you want that, then he's also over here.
Yeah, yeah, that's a cool description. So for me, it's fine either way because Grounded and Flame, of course, are very private about their own lives, I think. But is there anything? Well, I can ask a lot of questions because I try not to, but I almost feel like a detective. You give this small insights into your life, and then it's so fun for me to fantasize about this mysterious man flying around the world, between countries, between houses, with power outages, with interruptions in the recordings. So is there
Yes.
anything you can share or want to share?
Now is your opportunity, Dev. Ask away, my friend.
Yeah,
I mean, before you ask any further questions, I'll say like, my wife and I chose this life. So not for 1 second do I ever want to come across as complaining like, oh, I have so much to do and meh, meh, meh. No, like I chose this and I love it. But I always found it. I didn't want to just like make my channel into like a life update channel, you know, because like at the end of the day, SAP was the core of it. But I also, it's really cool to upload a video and see. Yeah, okay. Just to go on a tangent here quickly. If I make a 10-minute video and I talk about Super Auto Pets for 9 minutes, and then somewhere I tell a 1-minute story about some weird thing that happened to me, 80% of the comments will be about the weird story. So I think people just, and I do it myself when I'm commenting on YouTube videos, like if somebody says something unrelated to the gameplay, that's what I will like give my thoughts on. So I realized that I don't just want to be like a life update channel, but I think it's valuable and it's fun to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I agree as well. I think it's also well, there's many people watching, and you don't know who are watching, but many stages in life and many parts of life and whatever. So I think it's cool to see one way, well, to get a little insight at least in one way of living. And of course, that comes with sometimes annoying and sometimes good parts and sometimes just funny parts. So I think that's good. And I think, yeah, that's true. Maybe if you only just log in for or record for 10 minutes with no concept of gameplay or whatever, then it would also not be a RevGT video. Basically, it has to be the combination. It has to be the well, yeah. I just came up with the word before the recording, the super autopets / life balance instead of, well, for you life is then a lot of work as well. But that is what makes it fun. So yeah, I don't have any specific questions because it also feels, I think, kind of awkward to ask these questions about internet. I don't know, internet friends or whatever, because that's also part of the internet, that you can be a bit selective with what you share and what you don't. Well, you of course feel very, yeah, maybe that is the question. So have you ever, was it a conscious decision to be so open to share stories about your wife, about your child, about your life, or does it come naturally to you? Have you ever reconsidered, or are there stuff off limits, or is it just flow straight and you are just the kind of person that doesn't mind?
Really good question. So like I am a teacher, of course, which I think people who've been watching my channel would know. If you haven't watched my channel much, you wouldn't know that. Yeah,
write it down. Yes, confirmed. Teacher confirmed. Teacher confirmed. Official canon.
Yes. So I think obviously, like, I'm taking a break from teaching while I'm living in Indonesia, but I think the only conscious decision was like how, like, you can't be a teacher and then be on the internet and sharing the most radical views, right? Like, so I think it wasn't a conscious decision, but it was more a balance. How can I be the same person that I am with my family, that I am with as a teacher, that I am on YouTube? And I think I tried to not blur the lines too much. Like, I wouldn't be in a class, like, for example, I'm Muslim, right? But I teach at a public school. It's not my place to convert or force my views or look down on people. Absolutely not. Like, I know what I am, but I'm not going to force that on people. The same goes for when I'm interacting with people in real life. The same goes for YouTube. So I think that was the challenge. How can I just be as authentic as possible? And look, I love Super Auto Bets, man. Like, if I made a video which was 1 hour long and I only spoke about Super Auto Bets, I wouldn't care. It's not like I'm going to be like looking at the editing and thinking, oh, I didn't share enough of my personal life. No. I just want to be authentic and not overthink and just be happy playing the game, sharing stories that pop into my mind, and do it in a way that is like respectful and not crossing any lines.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question, or did I just answer something totally different?
Both, I think. So, but that's good. I think that's perfect.
I'm on brand.
Yeah. Well, and I think it comes off as like that. So if I had to summarize it in a way, so you try to be as authentic as possible, but you also respect the fact that sometimes different places are for different things, basically. So you have to be professional in your work, and then and I think if I speak from personal experience, I think for me it's a bit harder even to I always keep this way more separate. I don't know why. Probably you can do like an hour psychology research on that, but I feel I'm way more than you as I don't know you very well, trying to be different personalities in different places. So you are way closer, I think, to being the same everywhere, even though I know you only from one of these places. So
yeah, and like on that point, like there's a scale, right? Like flame or grounded, to use like people that are watching this video, they would understand. They do not delve into personal stuff or whatever, and if they do, it's extremely rare. And then you've got on the other end like me and Super Auto Gaming, for example, like Sag, just his video I was watching last night, and he starts with an update about what's happening with his partner and everything. So I think, and then everyone's scattered in between. Like Troubadour is 90% Super Auto Pets, but he will delve into what's been happening at work or his family. So I think everyone's on that range, and there's no right or wrong answer. I think the only right answer is like, what's the most authentic? I think that's the right answer.
Yeah. Agree. I think and maybe I'm not sure. Maybe from a content perspective, it's nice that it's consistent or something, because people, the people who watch you enjoy you for your style. So if it suddenly changes fully, then maybe that might be,
dude.
uh,
Like so,
a
like,
thing.
dude. Let's look at you in the SAP space. Like when I think, you know how for every person in the community, you have like a flashbolt thing. So like if I say this person's name, something comes to mind. For you, it's like you exist in the space of partially like analytics, which is what you were doing with your early YouTube videos. Like you were thinking about like who SAP scenarios, but then also you definitely are from like that grounded and Rev family of enjoying just like weird stuff.
Yeah. Well,
And you
within the
exist in
game, definitely. Yeah, just making creative builds. That's what drives me.
exactly. So like that's your thing. If you suddenly started creating content, let's say you put out 5 videos in a row where it was like how to win on Turtle Pack. It'd be like, this is so forced. Like as a viewer, I would instantly pick up like,
Yeah.
that's not you. So I agree. Like it's consistency and it's authenticity all the way. 100%.
Yeah. Very cool. So maybe a bit about the game itself. So what are your? So yeah, I've many questions. So just maybe I'll just put out a couple, and you'll go on a tangent, and then we have a good story. So a couple of questions that could be interesting is, so what are your thoughts on the current state of the game, and also maybe a different question, but also interesting is, so how would you describe the game? Maybe not on like a low level, but maybe on a high level. So what kind of game? What makes it fun for you? What kind of game is Super Auto Pets to you?
Yeah, okay, I'll answer the second question first, because I have a lot of thoughts on that first question about the state of the game. A lot of thoughts. SAP, I've been thinking about this because I am actually going to make a SAP film. I'm going to make a movie. The first ever SAP movie. And
Is this a
the
scoop?
goal of it is... I think I mentioned it in one video a while ago.
I think you
this might
hinted
be a
at some
scoop.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to make the
SAP
first Super
film,
Auto Pets film. And it's based on the last Team Tour competitive season, because there were some really thrilling storylines, and I felt like it's a shame that that's not brought to people. But here's the thing. I'm trying to make it so that someone who's never played Super Auto Pets can access and understand it. So that makes it more difficult for me, but I really want this to go beyond the SAP audience if possible.
Yeah.
And so
Cool.
I was thinking, like, I need to establish a lot in the opening. And one of the things is, like, that question you asked, how would you describe SAP? And I think if you have, on this end of the spectrum, you have rolling dice, pure luck, right? And then on the other side, you have chess, pure skill. Where does SAP fall in that range? And I think it's probably about 85% of the way to chess. So like it's over close to chess, but there's an undeniable luck aspect, which plays itself out in arena and especially plays itself out in versus. And I think that's the secret sauce of the game. Because if you don't want that, just go play chess. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's, to describe SAP without getting into the units and gold and whatever, I think it's an 85% skill game with enough luck to provide magical moments.
And
Do you
you've
think
played... Oh yeah, you go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think my description there is accurate?
I think it's accurate. I think also
You're the numbers guy. So
I'm the numbers guy. Well, it's about 84.3% skill. No, I don't know. Uh, no, I know. So it's accurate. I think it also differs. I think for your film idea, when it's about team tour and about versus competitive, then it's more relevant than for arena, because me as a 99% arena player, of course, still care about the randomness, but in a different way. I think it's randomness generates basically interesting moments instead of wins and losses. So that makes it a bit different. And then you played a little bit of the poker game, so I'm not sure how familiar you are with the actual game of poker, because I was wondering where
Not
you
very.
put that. Okay, well, there's little crossover, many heads, dev here. I
think
do a lot. I enjoy a lot about the game of poker, and there's many similarities, especially this one, where there's of course a lot more randomness, but still
Yeah.
a lot of strategy. And now your
I think
framework made me consider the difference on that level between SEP and
yeah,
then.
I think poker is a little bit more towards luck, right? Because
Yeah,
you know the
definitely. I
52
think
cards.
so. One question you could
Yeah.
ask is, if you put, I don't know, the number 1 player against the number 10 player, how often would he win, or against a random player or a pure beginner? Well, I think with SEP against a pure beginner,
Yeah.
you never lose, if you're a top if you're any
Never.
of the team tour players. And with poker, you could still lose against a pure beginner. So that already changes it.
Yeah.
And the other big difference, especially in versus, is in poker you have almost zero information about what your opponent is doing, where in chess you have 100% information, and then in team tour you have a way more information, because you know up until the last turn what they
Expected.
did.
Yeah, like you know what their board is, and then you know like expected improvements that they. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot more to go on, and well, that's one reason I don't like versus. Maybe the main reason. So the two reasons I don't like versus are probably the ones that people do like versus for, is that the fact that I am time constrained, which I really removes everything I like about Super Autopad, and the fact that I have to position, which I really hate. That's the part that makes it 100% unfun for me. But I understand that if you want to think more, so basically for me, I don't want to think so much. That then you have to do all the calculations. But that also makes it into a. So I'm already looking forward to your team tour film, because that I think, especially with versus, and for my limited versus, I do watch some content, but not. I don't follow the full team tour. I think one thing that I would add, that especially about versus, is a game about, so I have to find the right word as well, but it's about
Like momentum,
so push and pull,
tempo.
yeah, so it's you can be
exactly
so within one match, especially you have to think about whether I play tempo or I play for the long term. And that's, I think, every match is interesting, because halfway point it the hearts don't really matter. So at the halfway of one specific game, because it could, one person is still building and one person is trying to push, and I think that's also, if people could understand that that part, maybe with the chess content you see now, the how do you call it, the evaluation on the side, but there's a second part, because it's not just the evaluation, it's also almost like there's one more dimension in SEP. So
exactly,
but somehow you, and I think you could be the person to that just by pure enthusiasm and energy, just explain that this is cool, and even if you don't understand why it's cool, it's still cool to see this is a spectacular moment.
Yes, and like that, this perfectly leads into the first question you asked me, which is the state of the game, right? I am someone. A lot of people are arena only. A lot of people are versus only, and then you get sort of like the swing players in the middle. At my core, I love arena. Nothing is more fun to me than coming up with a stupid idea and grinding until I get it. It's just such a fun thing for me. But if we look at the state of the game specifically, we're quite deep in now. I think early on it was very easy for a new player to come in and understand the pets and get going. But right now, you have 5 packs, and it's not explained to you what that means. And let's say you're a new player right now and you haven't watched anything and you just download Super Auto Bets. You have these 5 packs. What does that mean? I get one of them for free. I have to pay for 4 of them. And then there's this thing called custom packs, which is secretly like the coolest part of the whole game, but that's behind a paywall. You have to pay to get it. So new players are not learning 500 pets and then jumping into customs. They're just not. They're just not. But there's a shelf life on them just playing Turtle Pack Arena because they'll get that initial like satisfaction of learning the game, and then they'll learn how, oh, Leopard's really good and Shark is really good. And then they'll force that for a while and then they'll get bored and fall away. And a small group will then find YouTubers and stay committed. But I think the state of the game, what interests me is how do we keep this thing going and growing? Because we are not growing, right? So but by the way, do I have clearance from you just to waffle here and get all my thoughts out?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so then I find myself unfairly angry at the formerly big YouTubers, which is like, so like Ludwig and Northern Lion and Scooty, what have they done? They've moved on, right? They're just off happily living their life doing new games. And I feel unfairly angry to them for not growing the game to the potential it could have, because none of them delved into versus. So then the common criticism you hear is like, not everyone wants to play versus, people just want to play arena. But I've just established that arena, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, arena isn't going to be the thing that grows the game again, it's versus. And the big YouTubers never played versus, so the wider SAP audience fell away or just got pigeonholed into arena. Whereas versus, there have been many people just through watching my videos or Second Rock on the Moon with that 150,000 view video. So many new players in Team Tour came from that video. Because versus, you can easily understand, this is my pack, this is their pack. First person to lose all their lives is the loser. And Turtle Pack, which is the free pack, is the best pack.
Yeah.
So you're not stuck behind a paywall. And it's you get these new people filtering in. Yeah, it's not pay to win. If you want to... The other packs are a lot closer to Turtle Pack than they used to be. But in my opinion, versus is the thing that if SAP is going to have a second spike, in my opinion, it's going to be through people coming in through versus. And then if they want to jump to arena, they can do that. And therefore, that's why I feel angry at the big YouTubers for not... which is so unfair. Like, that's not their responsibility. They're just YouTubers. But that's why I want to make this film. And that's why I hope that versus content... Okay, here's the thing. My final thought on this. If you just watch a versus game with no context, there's no story behind it, it's just pets crashing into each other. But feel in the competitive SAP scene, there are all these extremely interesting stories of players who were unknowns to rising up the ranks, and then the former legends, do they still have it? Are they not as strong in this meta? And there's all this drama of like the pressure of a best of 7 and the winner wins. There's all this interesting stuff, and I think it could be presented in a really interesting way. And for the state of the game, I think that that's our only path towards growing again. And some people might say, I don't care about that. I just want to play my arena runs. That's fine. That's fine. But I think Super Auto Bets should be bigger than it is.
I think
that's my answer.
The last part is something everyone agrees on. Everyone that plays it, of course. But it's interesting that you see, really cool as well, that you see versus as the thing that could create growth. Because
yep, I do.
It started as I think, I'm wondering about that. So because I don't follow it close enough, but because it started as a fun little, and it looks still like a fun little mobile game, basically. Yeah. But then you have to start to convince that, which I can see, because Pokemon basically is the same. It also is a child's game, and it is a very high and in-depth competitive scene. As far as I can see, it's just a video game, not a trading card game, probably as well. But then, so first, the Super Auto Bet versus, I think it. So now I'm trying to think out loud whether I think it's a good esports almost, basically, right? So both in having a high skill ceiling, which I think it does, but I don't know enough about the game, how high the skill ceiling gets, how much, whether there's a chance that it just gets basically perfected too quickly. If for example, I don't know, just as a thought experiment, as many people would study super auto pets as chess, maybe it would run out of skill at the top. I'm not sure. And it would be just variance again. This is probably a really not a game dev log thought process now that I'm thinking it out loud. And how good does it work as a spectator sport as well?
Great question. I know you're just thinking through what I threw at you right now. I will tell you this in terms of the skill ceiling. So in the competitive scene, people are referred to as like a 1 seed or a 2 seed or a 3 seed. And that just means when there's a team tour draft, there's 18 teams. If you're drafted in the first round, you're called a 1 seed. If you're drafted in the second round, so picks 19 to 36, you're a 2 seed, etc. And it goes up to 7, or this season it's actually 9 seeds. So if you're an unknown, never played much versus, like you right now, you know the game, right?
Yeah.
But you don't play much versus. For you to go from a 9 seed to like a 4 seed is really doable for someone who has a good grasp on the game. You just need to get some coaching about how to maximize your gold and blah, 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 blah. The difference between a 4 seed and a 1 seed is like 100 times bigger than 9 to 4.
Yeah.
And I've heard that that's a common thing in competitive games. And so the skill ceiling is huge, dude. Like I'm like a 3. I'm a little bit rusty at the moment. I'm probably about a 4 seed right now. I could beat the best player in the world in one game, but if we played 100 best of 7s, they'd beat me every time.
Yeah. Yeah, so one game being literally one game, but the best of 7 already has very small chances of you winning.
I would need to get so lucky, and I'm like good.
Yeah.
I'm good, but
and I think you are also a big I don't know, real life sports fan, and there I think it's the same, that it's unimaginable the difference between a top NBA player and the top person from your high school, for example. That's even though they whoop everybody in their whole state or whatever, and then the ceiling between that and the worst NBA player is already unimaginable, basically.
Yeah.
So that's I think a good sign for the health or the possibilities of super auto pets as a game, basically.
100%, man. And just to finish this thought, because I've spent 10 minutes rambling, but I'm passionate about this topic, about how can we keep this game going. I'd like people in the comments to let me know what they think. Am I just objectively wrong thinking that Versus is the future? Or is it our only ticket? Because I don't know, man. Learning 500 pets as a new player, it was hard enough learning 2 packs to begin, let alone they just keep adding pets. There's another pack on the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let me know down below. Like, do people think have I missed on this one, or am I correct? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I think at least in any case it's worth a try. It's worth a shot, because I have, it's for me, it's the first time I'm considering this path to growth, because again, I think every Super Auto Pets diehard content creator or community member is in a way thinking about this and considering ways how we could grow the game. Somehow not really trusting Teamwood also without throwing any shots, but people feel maybe at least the responsibility to do their work as well from the community.
Yep. It's because we know we've got this gem. Like, there's nothing. I'm sure all of us have had moments in the last, and it would have happened to you as well, Dev, where you have moments where you're like, you want to find a new-ish kind of game, and very quickly you're like, I'd just rather play SAP.
Yeah, I could talk about this for an hour as well, and that becomes a bit like a downer. And I spoke with Flame as well. I jump on every new roguelike deck, cards, strategy, tactics game Sap-ish. I can see, and then I just created the list. I don't know it off the top of my head, of like 10 things that SAP has, that most of them have only 1 or 2 of them, and maybe they do 1 or 2 better, But then for me
Yeah.
personally, it falls off already at runs longer than 10 minutes. Not for me. Might be a good game, but not for me. Uh,
It's such a beautiful
Not
time of
async,
run, right?
not for me. Not. I really enjoy the
Yeah.
fact that you play against uh,
Real players.
symmetrical teams with the same options as you had instead of a boss or an enemy. So
Yeah.
there's so many games that are quite fun and still fun for 1 hour or 5 hours. But that, yeah. So yeah, of course we are here just preaching to the choir basically about how good the game is. So do you also have an answer for or a view on how watchable Super Auto Pets as a sport or as a versus thing would be for maybe there's of course different types of audience. So you have the casual, maybe the people who played Super Auto Pets 3 years ago could enjoy it again because they have a little bit of knowledge, or maybe general gamers, or maybe general audience.
Yeah.
So it's of course very different. Who also for
Yeah.
your video you have to think about who you're addressing. About, do you have to explain the whole idea of a video game? Well, maybe that's a bit too far away, but
Yeah. That's a good question. So I think if you gave me, let's say I didn't have a job and a child and a wife and nothing, and I just had time to invest into this with a little bit of graphics and the right people on commentary, this game would be so accessible versus wise. So there's something called SAP Summit, which I'm not sure if you've heard of,
how?
but SAP Summit, like the summit of
yeah.
a mountain.
Yeah.
So that's like a premium team tour that's been started. And team tour anyone can join. SAP Summit, only the top 25 players get invited. And they do not best of 7s, but best of 9s. And then in the finals they go to best of 11s. And so they upload all of their matches in full, and that ends up being 2 hours for one best of 9, right? And the commentators are also really good players, and they're just breaking down situation after situation after situation for 2 hours. Could a regular person who's just started watching SAP understand that? Hell no. Hell no. But if you took that concept with a little bit of graphics and a little bit more explanation, I think it's really accessible as esports. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at this optimistically, but I think the answer
But that's
is
good.
yes.
That's always good. That part. Nobody could blame you for being optimistic, I think. And I think I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm so yeah. Well, maybe that's not within the scope of this. But my mind is starting to well, the wheels are turning about this stuff, because this is stuff that really interests me. Also, not just to save the game or whatever, but also just in general. How would you bring this to a bigger audience? And I spoke to Flame about as my same thing that comes to me now as talking about this with him is not sure if you're aware with the game Trackmania, the racing game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know of it, yeah.
Yeah, well, that had a huge revival, basically, just from, well, that's a big simplification, but just from one guy making very good content, and then combined with the nostalgia. And I think we're at the time where Super Autopad has a nostalgic wave, because I have no numbers, but there must be hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people who have played the game, or maybe only watched Northern Lion and never even tried the game. But I think some of his videos already have more than hundreds of thousands of views. So there's many people that know about the game, and so if you only would not target them, but take them in your head when explaining that they know a bit about the game, and then maybe there is a chance. But yeah, that's the optimism. There's also a big chance that it doesn't do anything, of course, and that you put in all this work for only the hardcore fans. But there is a chance on this hit that I can truly see. But if I had unlimited, or maybe limited but more time to work on something like
nice.
this, then I would also spend time figuring out how to add more visual indications of the game, basically, because just using the in-game view, I think it's too hard to follow for a more regular audience.
Yeah, because obviously when you drag the mouse over a unit or a perk or something, it gives you the description. But when people are playing the game as an experienced player, you never stop and
No.
what does this do again? Like your brain just is just pinging off information.
Yeah.
And yeah, new players it would be hard to access. Which is actually there was a guy called Crocs Are Nice who has stopped playing the game, I think, but he was
I've
doing a
seen him in the
series
comments,
of
yeah.
Oh, did you know about that? He was doing the introductory videos.
No, I've seen him in the comments, his name, but I haven't seen his videos.
Yep. So he was an arena player that then very quickly became top 10 in the world in versus. Really smart dude. He was making a series which was he was trying to be that if you're a new SAP player, you go to this and this teaches you what everything does. And it's like a crash course and now you go from beginner to intermediate really quickly. And even that which was meant to be quick ended up being I don't know. I don't even know if you finished it, but it was probably 2 hours worth of content. Now, if I asked you right now, hey, Dev, go try this game. Oh, but before you do, watch this 2-hour series. You're not going to do it. No way.
No.
So I think SAP's, which we haven't brought up yet, the other problem with SAP is that it's quite inaccessible beyond just what the pets do. You can't really learn. There's no 5-minute introduction video, right? There's nothing quick. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I wonder how many players start playing and they're just confused.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big ask because I think you could say, well, that's the fun part of the game as well. I think for me, it to figure out the game, but also that's a big ask for people to keep their attention for so long and then kind of get to maybe the good part or at least a very different part of the game where you're not just trying to figure out everything, but then trying to optimize or something.
Did my video die?
Yeah, exactly now.
Oh no. Please start again. Hello, we're back. No, you're right.
We're back.
It's both fun. Yeah, it's both fun, but it's also how do we... I don't know, man. Again, this isn't... We're talking about it like it's our job. It's Teamwood's job.
Yeah.
To be clear, but some of us are taking... I know that Grounded... I don't know if you spoke about it with him, but he clearly is passionate about extending the life cycle of the game. I'm assuming you did talk about it with him.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Different to me, he thinks it's through Arena, of course, because he's the greatest Arena player of all time. And he's trying to, he's got these concepts about, in fact... without hearing it yet, I guarantee he mentioned it in the one with you. So as you know, Grounded has ideas to keep the game going. It's not your job or my job or Grounded's job or Flame's job, but here we all are.
Yeah.
Trying to protect our... It's funny that Danger Pack is coming out, right? Because SAP itself is almost an endangered species at this point.
I had this thought recently as well, because somebody was trying to guess the pricing, and somehow this triggered into my mind that we had to save this endangered species of SAP players, maybe, or SAP pack buyers or something. That probably also get rarer and rarer. But also, I randomly joined a Scooty stream where he was 100%ing, I don't know, now I'm just trying to be funny, but the game, I don't know if you follow what he does now, but he 100% random games, basically. And then part of the last achievement also consisted of a lot of waiting, so he just did a bit of SAP during the other game, and he talked about it a bit, and I randomly... joined that part, and he said, well, if the new pack comes out, he thought he would go back to streaming. So somehow, not sure if he will and how much that would bring, but maybe at least for a little while, all these bigger streamers will, because it is kind of like a news cycle kind of thing as well. So maybe Northern Lion will play it for an hour, but not sure if that will
it feels
bring
like,
anything.
Nah, it just feels like a Band-Aid, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
We need surgery. We need heavy medicine. A new pack is just a Band-Aid.
So now you were considering how you could do your part from your current role in the community, so creating content, trying to grow the game through your content. But if you were in their shoes, of course, not to criticize, I think, because I also have a massive respect for what they do, and I sometimes almost feel
100%.
for them for the situation where they ended up, and it is very tough, I think. But are there any things that you would do first if your goal was to extend or grow the game?
Okay, yes. But I agree with you. This is not a criticism of the devs. My brain like explodes even thinking about creating a game and balance changes. Like I could not do what they do. But if I was king for a day, Rev, you now rule Super Auto Pets with an iron fist. Do what you must. I would make Puppy Pack free instantly. Bang! Every player has Puppy Pack now, and I would market the hell out of that. YouTube videos, Twitter, just everywhere. And I'd get big creators to also blast that. Hey, everyone has Puppy Pack now. So now we've got players playing and learning a second pack. And I would make some kind of Teamwood ran versus stuff. Twitch streams, and I would invite big creators to jump in on it. Maybe Scooty would do that. I don't know. Maybe even just Super Auto Gaming would be a huge.
It could
pull.
even be sponsored.
Sponsor it. Just do it. I'll sponsor it.
Yeah.
I will pay.
Yeah.
But I'm also the king in this scenario.
Yeah, you pay. With their... Yeah. Yeah, he pays to play the
I'll
tourney.
pay the day after when I'm not a king anymore.
Yeah.
I'll pay. And just something to be like, just get some new... Puppy Pack to get more activity again and people learning a new pack. And something versus related to try and just pull some players over to that side of the game that have been stubborn to. I don't know, man, because the answer is not more packs. I understand why they have to do more packs, but that's the band-aid.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I will be even more, I think, how do you say that, more extreme. And I think they should just sell the whole game for €10, except Turtle Pack. And then ignore everybody that complained that they paid €50 over these 5 years for all the packs. Because it's just impossible for people to expect. Yeah, it's now €50, right? To go from 0 to all the content, and that's too much to ask for this game for people who come in from scratch. And I think this tournament thing was the same thing I thought of as well. That would be very good. And same, still looking to the Trackmania examples as well. They do this quite often, and they are in a similar pickle where it's a dying game in a way, but also it has these peaks of interests.
Yeah.
And then they do this streamer plus, so content creator plus pro tournaments, which is great, which is so fun, where you go together, you train, and you have to find out some 2v2 format, which would be fine, which would be easy. There's enough smart people who would make a very good 2v2 format, and then
100%.
you could be on both sides, but the strongest players, they pair up with people who know the game for a little bit. It could be people who have zero experience, could be people, and it could be, you never know with content, but it could be good content. At least these people will share it with their audience. Could be a Twitch rivals game as well, because it's fun. It's that's the thing with Trackmania as well. It is for everyone because there's no graphics and no bad story. It's accessible for everyone. So I think this and then that's I think one of Grounded's biggest staples. All this stuff should be in game. So the tourney should be a way to organize all this in game and to discover all this in game, I think.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, because everything relies on steps and then steps. Dude, there is so much cool stuff in the competitive scene that is happening that 99% of SAT players wouldn't even know about.
Yeah,
there's so much
that I don't even know about it. Where I'm still very much active member of the community, and this whole competitive scene with all the roller coaster stories. I only get such a small part of this.
Yeah, but if you don't go beyond the game and into niche channels, you don't. How would you know? That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but having something in the game, like featured, like a link to a video or a link to some event that's coming up, dude, that would be great.
Yeah.
They should do that.
Yeah, this is one of Grounded's 20 page Google Docs. I think all has this written out. Yeah. Well, of course, by the time people listen to this, they probably have listened to that one as well. Or, of course, a good moment to cue on that video as well to know his thoughts, because it was very well worked out. Yeah. So we're closing in on an hour. So is there anything you still want to share, want to discuss? Anything?
Nah, I feel like we could do... this episode, the second half of it was me rambling incoherent thoughts about what I thought might save the game. I hope it was good. I hope it was view-worthy. I hope the audience enjoyed it. The personal side of things, again, maybe if we do a round 2 of this in the future, we can dig into the more personal stuff. But look, man, thanks for having me on. I love this game, and I hope that we can spend more time together. I can't believe I went an hour without bringing this up, but the community of Super Auto Pets, especially the RevGT community, is full of like some special people that sometimes you see in the comment section and sometimes goes beyond that. I've been supported as much as I've supported people, and I'm thankful for people like you and everyone who keeps this thing going. And now everyone go start playing Versus so we can save the game.
Yeah, I'll jump in immediately. I'll queue up with my 1500
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
Elo.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think
right.
I think it was a great conversation. I like you have no idea how much people will enjoy this, but at the very least, I had fun, and I think you had fun as well. And there must be some people that had fun listening to this. So thanks for sharing. And who knows, there might be a round 2. I think, and this theme of everyone trying. Somehow it boils down to us trying to save the game. So maybe then the next time everything is flourishing and we have time to discuss something more lighthearted.
Inshallah, God willing.
Yes. Well, yeah. Right. Thanks again. So, wait. Yeah, that's the final question, of course. But you did it already a bit. But where can people find you? Any shout outs? This kind of stuff.
Yo, shout outs. Okay, people. You can find me at RevGT on YouTube, and there are links there for my Twitch, although I'm kind of like busy right now, so there won't be much activity there. Shout out to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Shout out to King Chuck Finley. Shout out to Not a Game Devlog. Shout out to my mum. And I assume that people have already subscribed to like Flame and Grounded if they watch me. Go subscribe to this channel, Not a Game Devlog, and go subscribe to Matchman7. There we go.
Very nice. Well, then again, thanks so much for this conversation. And that's it.
This is a classic RevGT video where we don't know how to close it off.